Hello everyone, my name is John Hernandez. This is my video presentation for Japanese Literature 290, and it is on the Meiji period. The Meiji period lasted in Japan from 1868 to 1912. The beginning of the Meiji period is marked by the fall of the shogun and the return of the Empire of Japan to power. Major developments that occurred in the Meiji period included the rise of industrialization, the creation of a powerful military, and the unification of all of Japan, the rise of the emperor to supreme power, and Japanese imperialism. For centuries, Japan's government was operated by the shogun, a military dictator type of leader. In 1868, Japan was still in a feudalism type of society. It was not unified at all. People were still only loyal to their lords, which caused mixed loyalties. In 1868, the reigning shogun resigned his position, which immediately allowed for the return of the emperor to power. The emperor quickly created a cabinet of advisors and departments who were the ones who really operated the government, as the emperor was mostly a figurehead. The new empire quickly looked to bring reforms that were badly needed, such as building new roads for transportation, establishing a standing army, and heavy investments in education. These new reforms allowed Japan to experience an economic boom, technological advancement, and a new culture that embraced education. Japanese leaders feared that foreign influences would pervade the minds of the people of Japan and looked to create a figure that the people could fully unite behind. Japanese leaders found their answer in the emperor. The leaders successfully used propaganda that portrayed the emperor of Japan as the literal descendants of the gods who created the earth. All Japanese people were now able to unite behind one figure. The culture changed to embrace the emperor fully, and the emperor enjoyed complete support and reverence of the people. In 1854, Japan was forced to open its ports to American ships as Commodore Matthew C. Perry threatened to use force if they refused. Japan conceded. As a result, Japanese leaders were determined to never let Japan be bullied diplomatically again by another foreign power. In the Meiji period, Japan saw major developments and investments in the military, which was finally able to be united for the first time in centuries. In 1871, Japan formed for the first time a standing army called the Imperial Guards. 2 years later, in 1873, Japan for the first time created a policy of military conscription, which required all males to serve in the military for 7 years. The Japanese army was first used to put down rebellions inside of Japan, but after a few decades, the government decided to test the military against foreign countries. In 1895, Japan first tested their new military against China in the First Sino-Japanese War, which was over influence in Korea. Japan decisively won the war, as China had still not industrialized. This gave the reformed military much confidence for future wars. Japan's next test and breakthrough moment occurred in the Russo-Japanese War in 1905. Japan easily defeated the much larger and better equipped Russian army. For the first time in history, Japan had the strongest military in Asia. As a result of opening their ports to the Americans, Japan essentially opened themselves up to all Western influence. These influences included literature, technology, political ideologies such as freedom of speech, and industrialization. Japan was able to modernize so quickly as a result of being willing to adopt many Western ideas so quickly. Conclusion. The Meiji period was an important era in Japan and for the entire world. Japan was able to become a very powerful force by reforming itself in a short amount of time, which allowed them to gain influence and respect around the world. The entire world was affected by this because a very powerful Japan would become a huge influence in the decades to come and would forever leave their mark on history. Thank you for listening to my presentation.